So first topic of conversation we're going to talk about is a college football playoff. It's Saturday. You guys know what that means. Ladies, leave your man alone. Let him sit in front of the TV. Crack some beers open. Fire up the grill, baby. Put the college football on because it is Saturday. It's college football day. But not only that, we kind of get into the nitty-gritty part of the season where every win matters, every loss matters, every draw matters, and every game and where it's at matters as well because of college football playoff.
For sure, man. It's stout, man. But I'm rolling with the SEC on this.
Whoa!
I love the SEC. I believe that the LSU Tigers are going to win a national title. Just check their track record. They beat a great team in Alabama, even though Tua was hurt and banged up. But that Alabama team has 3 of the top receivers that's going to get taken off the board this coming May. I'm sorry. April, whatever. I'm messing up. I'm fucking up. But Alabama has the top 3 receivers coming. Their defense is okay. I wouldn't say they're the best defense in the country or anything like that. But, they went and they beat the Alabama team, and then they beat Florida, unfortunately. We a couple possessions away from being in this top playoff conversation. And, I just feel like LSU has been battle-tested. LSU has played tough competition. Other teams, I can't say so much, because their conference is weak. It's not their fault, but the SEC is the mini NFL, and that's just who I'm going with. I think LSU takes it all.
I 100% disagree. Wholeheartedly disagree. I think the best team in college football right now, even though I'm wearing a Gator shirt, and I love the Gators, and so does my partner Lance.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to be a realist. Ohio State Buckeyes, as much as I do not want to say this, the Ohio State Buckeyes is the best team in college football. You look at it from the grand scheme of things, right? You look at it from top to bottom. All 70-something kids on that roster. Justin Fields is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Now, I can't say that he's better than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's having a hell of a year. However, what I will say about Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow wasn't doing nothing last year. Yeah. Joe Burrow wasn't doing a dang thing last year. They put the spread offense in there and Joe Burrow takes off. Congratulations to him and congratulations to the LSU team. However, Ohio State. Justin Fields and Ohio State offense has been nothing but consistent all year long. You only can play who you can play. We can't help that the Big Ten is poop. Yeah. It is what it is. However, you play who you play. You dominate who you play. We line up 11 on 11. Ball snap. We're going to smack you in your mouth. J.K. Dobbins in the backfield running the ball between the tackles. We got Justin Fields at quarterback. Receivers. We got, I don't know who the receivers is. They's irrelevant. Ooh, here's a stat. Ohio State has got 3 receivers that have more than 400 yards receiving yards in the season right now. What other team in the country can say that? Can LSU say that? Possibly. I think LSU's trio of receivers.
They definitely could say that, bro.
I think they're pretty solid too. But all the way around, man, Ohio State is the best team, in my opinion, in college football right now. I don't think they have a weakness from top to bottom, all the coaching staff. And I can't fail to mention, they got the best defensive player in the country, Chase Young. Chase Young is a stud. You drop back, you got to have an internal clock because Chase Young is coming for you. LSU don't got that.
I mean, you're right at the same time, but what I want to get at is you were speaking about last year. Last year, yeah, Joe Burrow could not throw the ball down the field, but what is last year? That's irrelevant. We were speaking about right now in the college football playoff. They have been dominant all year. They beat 2 top 5 teams. They beat 3 top 10 teams. What more do you want them to do? And they play tough competition. You say you could play who they can play, but shit, they got this, and this on their schedule. They are in the mini NFL, and they are making everyone look bad.
I got a question for you then. We all know LSU's probably had the toughest schedule in college football. Do you think they're going to be burnt out by the time they see Ohio State?
Absolutely not, because when you get down to that time, you get to focus on one person. You get to scout one team. You know all their weaknesses. You watch film. You are focused on one team. You're not focused on week by week because there is no more week. It's win or go home.
Yeah, but you think about it from this perspective though. LSU has played Bama, Bruiser, LSU is gonna have to play Georgia, bruising. LSU played Florida, bruising. LSU played Oregon, bruising. LSU played Texas A&M, bruising. LSU has played all these teams. They're gonna probably have to see a Clemson team at the end, or probably have to see Georgia again, possibly depending on how the seedings fall. Don't you think by the time they get to a championship game and all these bruising games that they've played throughout the course of the season, don't you think that's going to take a toll at the end of the game, at the end of the year?
I mean, it takes a toll, but at the same time, LSU is good from top to bottom. I mean, they have weapons everywhere. It's a next man up approach. As long as Joe Burrow don't go down, I think the ship is going to keep sailing. There's not much you can really do. You can get to Joe Burrow, and it's been proven that you can't. You can't. Florida tried to get there, they couldn't. Gennard didn't even sniff him. Alabama tried to get to him, they couldn't. He drove right down the field every time they scored. What more do you want to see? Are you not entertained? Do you not believe?
I think LSU is a solid team, but LSU is not better than Ohio State. LSU is not better than Ohio State because LSU dominated from start to finish in every single game.
No, but that goes back to the weak schedule and the weak conference. You can't help who you play, but right. Compare Alabama's schedule and LSU's schedule. You would say Alabama's schedule pretty cake, right, until they play
Absolutely,
LSU.
100%.
LSU put everybody on the schedule and they whooped everybody's ass. It's just that simple. They whooped everybody's ass. And I understand where you're coming from. I'm not saying I don't like Ohio State, but that conference has been known to try to outscore people. They don't really play defense. Yes, Chase Young is amazing. He is going to be one of the top pass rushers in the league coming soon. But if you double team Chase Young, he'll still cause some commotion in the backfield. But what about the people backing him up? What about that questionable secondary that everyone always questions year after year after year? What happens if Chase Young gets hurt?
My answer to your question about having a weak secondary defensively is when you have a high power offense like that, you can put points up and you're averaging 40 plus points a game. Not a lot of offenses can do that. Right. Now, granted, LSU offense possibly can do that. My biggest worry with LSU is, are they going to be burnt out by the time they see Ohio State? We talked about cake schedules. Ohio State has not had the toughest of schedules because their conference is poop. Yeah. Just real quick, we'll go down the line of what Ohio State looked like throughout their schedule. They open up versus FAU, absolutely blitzed Lane Kiffin and the FAU Owls. They had no business playing them. They absolutely blitzed them. They won 45-21. Then they played, at the time, a 17th ranked Cincinnati team. Didn't even score. Cincinnati didn't put up nothing. They put up a goose. Ohio State won 42-0. Then you go and you play Indiana. Indiana's a conference game. You can't help it. Indiana is poop. Yeah, they are. But it's a conference game, right? Ohio State wins 51-10. Then they go and they play Miami, Ohio. Probably shouldn't even schedule a Miami of Ohio game. I think that's just as bad as Alabama playing Western Carolina or New Mexico State, for crying out loud. I mean, you have no business playing them. But anywho, they took care of business. They won 76-5. At that, you should just get rid of your whole football program at that. Then they go and they play a conference game versus Nebraska. They won 48-7. Conference game versus Michigan State. They won 34-10. Conference game versus Northwestern. They won 52-3. Then they play Wisconsin, right? Wisconsin at the time came off a loss versus Illinois. I think they were looking ahead. They got beat by Illinois, but if you're Wisconsin, you look at the Ohio State game, you say we can get back in the groove of things when we play Ohio State. What did Ohio State do? Absolutely wax them, 38-7. 38-7. Absolutely blitzed them. Then they go and they see an absolutely piss poor Maryland team who needs to get rid of their entire program in general. They beat them 73-14. Then you play Rutgers, 56-21. And now they're currently in the game right now versus Penn State, and they're up 28-17 versus a pretty solid Penn State team who lost to a really good Minnesota team. I mean, you only can play who you can play. The only game on the schedule that you can go say that Ohio State probably shouldn't have played is Miami of Ohio, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but like you said, you play who you can play. I understand that. But back to my point, LSU has played big dogs and stuck their chest out.
And I'm not disputing that.
And beat everybody on their schedule. And they started out the year playing against, I believe, an 11th ranked Texas as well as an opening game.
They did.
Like they didn't shy away from nothing. You know, Florida's of the world We are not scheduling no game like that. Even though we scheduled Miami this year, and we really gave them the game, but that was supposed to be a cake game.
No doubt. I mean, we could talk about Florida, and we'll probably get into the Florida conversation. Obviously, you can see that both of us are wearing Gator gear. We are big Gator fans. Florida Gators is the best team in the country. We know we're arguing about LSU, Ohio State, but in the heart of hearts, Florida's the best team in the country, baby. Top, baby. That's right, top.
Yes, sir.
But to go back to your point about LSU schedule, LSU did, they scheduled a tough game, out of conference game versus Texas. Texas is poop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, well, everyone talks about how good Texas is in the beginning of the season because of Texas. Right? The Texas has their own network. Texas is big school. But Texas ain't did nothing since Vince Young was there. Yeah. I mean, can we be real here? Like, Texas ain't done nothing. They think Sam Ehlinger, who grew up, big Texas, Hook'em Holmes, was gonna save their program. He hasn't done anything. It's terrible. They were in a dogfight versus Kansas.
Yeah,
Kansas.
It's a fucking basketball school.
Kansas is terrible. Kansas is horrible.
Yeah.
So how can we? I mean, we can sit here and talk about LSU's tough game versus Texas in the beginning of the season, but we look at that game as a cupcake game. That's just almost as equal as Ohio State playing Miami of Ohio, for crying out loud at this point. I mean, it's almost the same thing, right? I mean, the conference game. Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question: you think Ohio State can play in the SEC and be undefeated with LSU schedule?
Hell no.
What?
Hell no.
What?
If I'm telling you right now, if Ohio State played in the SEC, I think right now they may have 2 losses.
To who? With LSU schedule?
With LSU schedule.
Who are they losing to?
They losing to Alabama. They're definitely losing to Alabama.
They ain't losing to Alabama.
And possibly maybe Florida.
As much as I love Florida, they're not losing to Florida either.
Hey, I'm just a firm believer in the SEC because they play defense. You know, it's usually run heavy, but that goddamn Joe Burrow has been throwing that shit down the field. And
Ohio State play defense?
Ohio State, yeah, but
They play defense? You gotta play who you play.
Right, but every year it's the same thing when they get to the big game.
But they've got a national championship in the college football area.
Right, but they always take
LSU don't.
LSU doesn't. You're right. But that doesn't mean that this year ain't the year. And I think this year is the year for Joe Burrow and the Tigers, man. As much as it pains me to say that because I'm still butthurt about Kyle Trask throwing an interception in the red zone. Yeah. But it's their year. And that's my gut feeling. If I believe that Joe Burrow, they will meet Clemson. I believe that they will beat Clemson. And then I believe that Ohio State and the Tigers will meet. It'll be a shootout because both teams got prolific offenses. But I think LSU will get a stop in maybe overtime or late in the fourth quarter.
Speaking of Clemson, is Clemson really that good? We talk about strength of schedules, right? Strength of schedule has been the topic of conversation between Ohio State and LSU.
Yeah.
Clemson got one of the worst schedules in the entire country because Clemson's conference is terrible.
Yeah,
Florida State, you suck. All Florida State fans.
We're gonna whoop y'all ass after Thanksgiving. So y'all better be thankful that we don't play y'all this Saturday.
Ooh. Florida State's trash. Miami, trash. Who else is in their conference? North Carolina, I love you, but you're a basketball school. Your football program is trash. Although Clemson only beat them by a point.
Yeah, and if the dumb coach don't go for 2, they win.
They win the game, right? If they go to overtime, they might win the game.
But back to your point. Yes, I know where you were getting at, and Clemson does not deserve to be in this top.
What?
I don't think Clemson deserves to be here because they're not good enough. They lost. They're basically being put into this conversation based off last year.
So let me ask you another question then. Clemson is the defending national champion.
Yeah.
Clemson has not lost.
Right.
Clemson has a close win versus a pretty bad UNC team.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think they should have the right to be able to defend their title?
Right. They have the right to be there, but I don't think they deserve to be there as far as talent wise. If they did everything they did in order to be there, but I just think that out of the top 4 teams, they're the poopest. They're the worst. They're the worst team in the top 4 that we have.
So who's your top 4? Who do you think is going to make it to the college football playoff?
I believe that some way, somehow, Alabama's going to get in, but Tua is out for the year. So
so the only way that Alabama gets in in my opinion. And here's the whole argument. I don't think Bama gets in general. I don't.
No.
I don't think Bama gets in, and here's why. I think LSU beats Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia is out of there.
By 10.
I think they beat them. And then Oregon plays Utah. Both teams are undefeated in conference. Mm-hmm. When they meet for the Pac-12 championship, I think the committee should reward a conference champion and get them in the playoff. And I think one of those teams then jumps over Bama.
But we can get into the committee talk. The committee is garbage.
Oh, we ain't even gonna talk about that.
We
the committee. We the committee.
They're gonna pick who they
new
want
committee
to pick.
in town.
And they love Alabama because Alabama is what brings the NCAA a lot of money because year after year they are there. So they want them to be there again.
But they are. But there's got to be some sort, at some point or another, the committee has to sit here and say, because right now we're talking, the college football playoff is 4 teams. And my argument, I think it should be 8 teams. And that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
However, I understand that Bama is Bama, but we're talking about Bama because of the name. We're talking about Bama because of Nick Saban and with the greatness of Nick Saban.
Yeah.
But this year, they're not great.
They're not great.
They're not great. Their star quarterback goes down. Mm-hmm. Right? Why are we sitting here rewarding Alabama for a loss versus LSU having a very weak schedule?
Yeah.
Right? And they didn't win their conference championship, but Oregon or Utah wins a conference champion and they should go in there.
But like I said, you said you don't want to speak about the committee, but it goes back to the committee. The committee loves Alabama.
It does go back to the committee, but one of the things the committee always talks about is winning your conference.
Yeah.
Winning your conference is one of the biggest things the committee talks about, and I think that should be rewarded. 100% that should be rewarded because at this point, if winning your conference is not important and we're only talking about strength of schedule, get rid of conferences. Yeah. For what? What's the point? Get rid of them.
Yeah.
You got your Power 5, and just get rid of them. If that's what's going to be the case, winning your conference should say a lot, right? You get a conference ring. Who doesn't want a conference ring? You're fighting for something. Yeah. Winning a conference is important regardless of whatever football level you're playing on. So I think the winner between the Oregon-Utah game and the Pac-12 championship should overleap Bama. And so my numbers, as far as who's in the college football playoff, I think LSU goes 1. I think Ohio State's 2. I think Clemson is 3. And I think you get that winner, Utah or Oregon, and they're 4.
Yeah, but I feel you. You're right. You're right as far as winning the conference. But think back to every time that someone from the Pac-12 has been in this playoff game. They always take a shit when it's time to play somebody for real. I mean, because that conference is known for outscoring you and don't play defense. Sometimes Oregon don't play defense on purpose so they can get the ball back, score, and run the clock out.
We're in a different Oregon scheme now. Chip Kelly is no longer there. I don't know where he's at UCLA, absolutely laying a shit on the football field right now.
Yeah.
You said it's terrible, all right? But to get back to that point, though, I think you talked about, in the beginning of the debate, you talked about how LSU is a different team this year. I brought up last year. You're talking about this year,
you got me.
And then you bring up that every year in the Pac-12 they just lay an egg. But we're talking about this year. Yeah. How do we know that Oregon or Utah doesn't go there and smack LSU in the first round of the playoff? We don't know that.
We don't know that. But
Utah got one of the best defenses in the country.
We don't know. We don't know anything because it's not time for them to play.
We don't. But why not get one of them in there?
If we get one of them in there, I just feel like it's gonna waste a bunch of people's time.
It's not though.
Because I feel like if Oregon was to play LSU, I feel like it'll be close in the first and second quarter, and then the third quarter will come. And they'll put that ground and pound on their ass, run the ball up the field, get a stop, and then go score again. And then what is Oregon going to do? What is Oregon going to do? They're going to be down 14 points, and they don't play defense. So how the hell are you going to get the ball back?
Oregon plays defense. Oregon's got one of the best defenses in the country as well. They got top 10 defense.
Yeah, based off their schedule. Yes.
So now we're back to strength of schedule. LSU got the toughest schedule in the country. Yeah. Auburn is right behind them. Auburn still got to play Bama. I mean, Auburn ain't got a break, all right? And they're rocking with a freshman quarterback who I think is going to be the truth in the long run. But we're back to strength of schedule. So I guess my argument to that goes, and strength of schedule has been something that's been always talked about. We can talk about UCF, right? And when UCF was undefeated and everybody was saying they don't play anybody, give them a chance. It's true. Give them a chance.
Yeah.
How do we know that when UCF was undefeated and UCF was blowing through everybody, how did we not know UCF was going to be able to beat one of those teams up there?
We wouldn't know.
wouldn't.
And I was one
Give
of
a
the
chance.
I was one of the people that wanted to see it because if they got blitzed, they could shut up and go back into the hole that they are in. If they win, then it's what you want in college sports.
My man. So you're proving my point. So why not have a Pac-12 champion in the college football playoff, Oregon or Utah?
You right.
Right. If they get blitzed, they're supposed to get blitzed by LSU. But boy, oh boy, if they beat LSU,
And it'll never be the end of it because everybody will just start dogging the SEC again. Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. I think the winner of the Pac-12 should be in. I think Bama is the first team out. And I think overall, Ohio State is the best team in the country. I think Ohio State wins it all in an absolute shootout against LSU. And we're looking at next year as the Florida Gators being one of the best teams in the country.
I like that. Please don't transfer Emory Jones. If you watch this, I hope you watch this. Please don't transfer. I understand that they're doing you wrong. I hope Kyle Trask enters the draft so that you don't enter the transfer protocol.
Oh, also, guys, if you like something that we said, if you don't like something that we said, of course, comment, like, share, leave your comments below. Again, follow us at EL_SportsShow on all social media platforms. My name is Emmanuel.
I'm Lance Johnson.
No doubt. We are L Sports Show.